Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor Russ Stevens, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's JP's first son, Tim Hoey. Well, we have another great show for you tonight. So, boys, let's get started. First of all, I'll mention JP's first son, Tim Hoey, is in Vegas because Vegas is his lady. And hopefully we can hear. Timmy, can you hear us? Well, hopefully he's still working, and we'll figure out. Timmy will get there in his due time.
Boys, he's in the house on the Patriots to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, this is feeling very similar to the Red Sox. We were at one point giving up on the Red Sox, wanting the season to end, and then all of a sudden they turned it around, and next thing you know, we were talking World Series. That didn't happen, but all of a sudden the team that looked like they were out of it, we were talking about tanking, is a legitimate team to go to the Super Bowl. Would you agree with that comment?
I don't know about we. You said they should tank.
I'll give you that. Come on. Look, after they lost, yeah, we can hear you.
After the beating that New Orleans put on them, that was pretty good. That was a tough one to swallow. But none of the others really have been bad.
Yeah, the hard thing for me all along has been their gameplay has been pretty good, really, from the beginning. It was just the number of mistakes that they were making. Take the New Orleans game out. They just didn't play well in the New Orleans game. But, you know, they made a huge mistake in Miami. Harris fumbles the ball. You lose that game. You pretty much dominated that game. I mean, you won that game on the field. Tampa Bay and Dallas, you stuck with the entire night, you know, and you outplayed them at multiple times. You made huge mistakes that cost you the game. And the coach didn't help against Dallas either. So you sit there and you say, you know, how do you look at this season? You throw the New Orleans game out, and they've played well for 9 games.
Absolutely. Right. Kind of, you know, and especially Timmy at home, you'd want to win one of those Tampa and Dallas games. And it was because of Bill Belichick's conservatism in those games. Timmy, would you agree that cost him?
Yeah, there were those third down calls to Bolden. But I think part of it was that they had to learn how to win. Mac Jones, they had to learn how to win. That was always Brady's secret. You know, we had a lot of close games. We had a lot of games we were all played. But Brady would pull it out at the end. He would get us down there for a field goal or a touchdown. Mac Jones, I think, you know, you have to feel that pain of the loss and almost winning before you learn how to close it and stick the dagger in and come away from that game with the W.
That's right, Tim. In Houston, the Houston game, it sounds like a throwaway. It was a crummy team. But that was the turnaround point. They came from behind on the road against another NFL team.
And they've stopped putting the ball on the ground. I mean, the bottom line is their takeaways are way more than their giveaways right now. They're creating turnovers, and they're not putting the ball on the ground anymore.
Did you watch Ramondre Stevenson holding on to that ball? They were
oh my God, they got the message. They got the message.
They were like, I mean, that guy, he didn't even care about tackling Stevens. He just was caring about ripping that ball out of his hands.
Yep.
And Stevenson got the message. I don't care if I don't get a yard here. I'm not fumbling.
But do they still they have full confidence in Mac Jones? Remember, it was only just a couple of weeks ago that one of you guys made the great comment during the game is they were playing a prevent offense in the second half against Carolina. Right?
Look, I think it's a great question, Scotty, because he's getting all the hype this week. You know, all the national shows are leading with Mac Jones. All the podcasts are talking about Mac Jones, but development is not linear for a rookie, right? He could go out and be really bad tomorrow night. It's possible, right? So I don't know. I don't think they're going to push these games across the table to Mac Jones and say win them. I think you're going to see a lot of Harris, a lot of Stevenson, a lot of the tight ends, a lot of short passes until he's really ready to take the reins.
I mean, it took Brady five years before they really unleashed him, right?
Right.
That's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And he had Mac Jones had 12 for 18 against the Panthers, 173 yards. That was Tom Brady's line for the first 3-4 years, right?
Yeah.
That's what Tom Brady did. And it feels like Bill Belichick really likes this team because I think he sees, and we know he doesn't care about the offense. He likes the defense, and he's liking the way they're developing.
You know what I'm
Agree
liking?
with that.
I'm liking the holes the offensive line is making and those running backs are running through. That's what I'm liking.
Yeah, look, right, exactly. And Russ, bringing Trent Brown back, having a Wenyu and Trent Brown on the same side, you can't see the sun.
Yeah, I was going to ask Joe really like how do they end up configuring this line? Because as I understand it, Onwenu played much better at right tackle than he did at guard, but now you've got Brown back. Like what, Joe, left to right, where do you think this line is going to end up?
Did you notice he didn't play last week?
No.
Onwenu he played 38 snaps. He did not start.
They didn't start him.
No.
So, Joe, what's your starting line? What's your starting line? Assuming everybody's healthy, what's your starting line left to right?
I still go with Isaiah Wynn. I take Karras out and put Onwenu in there. Andrews.
Yeah.
And then Brown on the other end.
Okay.
Well, you know, Karras was supposed to be the swing guy, but for some reason, whatever.
Swing tackle, right?
It felt like a disciplinary thing. To be honest with you, when PFF has him as the third best lineman in football, and you all of a sudden bench him, that was kind of strange.
Well, no, he was playing right tackle, and then Trent Brown comes back. So, but he just got the season at left guard.
Right.
Yeah. See, Greg Bedard, who tracks this stuff like Joe does, he claims Onwenu did not play well at guard, but played very well at tackle.
Right.
So you're just going to have a lot of times where they're just going to create a lopsided line and have Brown over there and just use Onwenu in spots, right?
Yeah, move Onwenu around, or if Isaiah Wynn continues to suck, couldn't you move Trent Brown to left tackle and put Isaiah Wynn at left guard?
They did put Trent over at left tackle for a bit in that game, but I think Cleveland had quit early on, so that's a hard game to gauge. And over on that left side, they were doing everything but throwing the kitchen sink at Myles Garrett rather than have Isaiah Wynn take him on one-on-one. Even N'Keal Harry was blocking him.
So, Scotty, I got a question for you. You're in a plane with 3 people and 2 parachutes. It's you, you're Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris in the plane, and you're going to take one for yourself. Now you have your 2 options are you give both the parachutes to them because you love them so much, or you keep one for yourself and you give who you giving the parachute to.
And boys, I can't believe that Rusty Boy is asking a question that Jimmy G's not involved in the plane or the boat or whatever.
Jimmy G's not involved in our conversations anymore.
Exactly. That's a great question. I like Stevenson only because if you look in the history of the Patriots, the Corey Dillons, the Antoine Smiths, we've won Blunts. We've won our Super Bowls generally with these big, tough, physical running backs, not with the speed guys. And I think Stevenson is exactly that type.
You know what? Who are you giving the parachute to?
He dodged that question, didn't he?
It sounded like Stevenson. It sounded like he's.
I thought it sounded like Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Tim, who do you give the parachute to? Do you like Harris or Stevenson?
I give it to. I love. Ramondre Stevenson reminded me of Antoine Smith. That's who he's reminding me of. When we got Antoine Smith, no matter what happened, he got 3 yards falling down, and we hadn't had a guy. We used to get stuffed on 3rd and 1. I think for 20 straight years, we got stuffed on 3rd and 1 until Antoine Smith showed up. And no matter what happened, 3rd, 1.5, 3rd and 2, we got that first down. All of a sudden, that had not happened. That's what this Stevenson guy reminds me of. he's going to get you 3 yards falling down every time he gets the ball.
Yeah, that's a great point, Timmy. He really does. You think he's stopped, and all of a sudden he tacks on 2-3 yards. He's the perfect Patriots running back for our viewing pleasure.
Now he's learned to hold on to the ball.
No, I'm sure Mac Jones doesn't think that.
You know who Joe's going to give the parachute to? Sony Michelle.
I put my money where my mouth is. I backed Sony all the way at the betting window.
Yeah, I know you did. You sure did. They're looking good, right? They just keep on acquiring players for Joe. The Rams do. Joe, so
Stevenson, no. I give the parachute to Harris for the next couple of years. Stevenson will be the better player 2 years from now. But right now, Joe, he's got to learn to block. He just can't play the game of football. All he does is run the ball. He's got to play the game of football.
Joe has to bring up that pesky blocking issue.
I know, right?
You have to pick up the blitz. Your quarterback gets killed. They can't pass with him in there because he can't. He doesn't understand. They didn't teach him that at Oklahoma.
So that's the question.
You're a big man on campus. You don't have to do that stuff.
We should be asking Mac Jones this question, right? I mean, who does he want there, Harris or Stevenson, right? He's the one who should be answering this question.
All right, Russ, answer your own question.
I am such a generous human being. I would give them each a parachute.
Oh my God. No way. I would not want you to perish to the earth in that Sophie's choice. No way. All right. Well, I needless to say, I'd have to do something to make sure you're safe. I'll take care of us somehow. I'll figure it out. All right. Well, that's a great question. I had to talk about Bourne. You know, we talk about the free agents. We heard a lot about Kendrick Bourne from 49ers fans who said, you're going to love this guy. We're so pissed off that the 49ers lost this guy. We didn't see much of him. We, in fact, saw him fumbling, but we didn't see much of him. Now, all of a sudden, Jones and Bourne are getting together and making magic because Bourne has speed that we have not seen around here for a while.
Doesn't it seem like he took a shot before this game that gave him a 20% extra speed?
Yeah.
Where did this 20% burst of speed come from? I don't know.
I got a bone to pick with Joe, who I think called Bourne like just another guy the other day.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, that does not look like just another guy. You get a guy who can make that catch, go up and get that ball.
It was the best throw of the year that Mac Jones had too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say.
But how many has he fumbled or bounced into interceptions over the course of the season already?
Yeah, no, not recently, and the inclusion of that end
the
around
last 2 games, but he's had a half dozen fumbles and deflected interceptions.
Did he not look like one of the fastest guys in the field Sunday, though?
He did. But he also looked like a guy who finally learned the playbook, Joe.
Yeah.
But that was a great catch between two guys, and it was Mac Jones' probably best throw he's made all year.
Well,
it's almost like McDaniels kind of figured out what this guy's talents were and how to utilize them too, and put a game plan in there to use his skills.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And they needed him as a running back too.
I was gonna say, one thing I've noticed this year is I think we got to come up with another term for trick play or gadget play, because McDaniels is running, multiples of those every game. I think he's just trying to get the ball into the hands of guys who can make plays in any way possible. And if it means an end around, a halfback pass, a double pass, a wide receiver pass, I just see him. It's almost every game that he's running.
What do we have? At least 5 end arounds in that game? I mean, when's the last time you saw that many end arounds from a wide receiver?
And that kind of play protects the quarterback because, like you just said, Russ, it makes them think about other things.
That's right. Yeah.
But those defensive linemen, they just could not tee off and zero in on Mac Jones. They had to be worried. Where was the ball going?
Yeah. So where is Josh McDaniels on a consistent basis? He'll have these incredible games, and then next week he'll have Brandon Bolden running in the middle on a third down, and just
Third and 9.
All right, I'm not criticizing
Wrong
Brandon,
play on third
but in
down.
general, Mac Jones throwing the ball, I don't know where. I mean, it's been hit and miss with McDaniels this year, don't you think?
Well, look, just like we've got to give Mac credit and some of these guys credit for improving over the course of the year, I think they're all getting more comfortable with each other. I think Mac and Belichick know what they have now. I think the players know the playbook. They're putting more and more stuff into the game plan. I don't know. You guys have been killing McDaniels a few times this year. I think he's just getting used to all the tools in his tool chest.
I agree, Russ. He has gotten better over the last 3 or 4 games. A little less conservative and a little more liberal, moving the ball around to different guys.
Well, Timmy, Belichick had so many nice things to say about McDaniels last week. It felt like, oh my God, the changing of the guard. I have this feeling, is it possible that Bill Belichick could say next year's his last season and McDaniels is going to be the coach?
What would Bill Belichick do with himself? He seems like the kind of guy who is, we all know those people in life, I think, that they're happiest at work. I am not one of those guys,
Right.
But some people seem like the most fulfilling thing in their life is their work, So I don't
he'd
know.
go upstairs, but he'd end up going upstairs.
Okay. Yeah, he wouldn't completely leave.
I think he likes the challenge of doing what he's doing right now, though. I think he enjoys it. I think it's very satisfying for him.
Yeah, I see a couple of things. One is, it feels like he wants to catch Shula, right?
Yeah,
that's what it feels like to me. Second, if that's the intent, they're going to lose McDaniels after this year, and for one reason, not how he's calling games, is he's just proven he can take a rookie quarterback and turn him into a winner, right? And if you're a team that you're sitting on Justin Fields, or you're sitting on Trey Lance, or Trevor Lawrence, or the kid Wilson, or the next guys that get picked, wouldn't you be taking a look at McDaniels and say that's a guy who knows how to build around a young quarterback? He's going to get a job next year.
That's my point. Is do they want to lose him, or could this be where it hits the road? Rubber hits the road, and they got to make a decision. And Kraft says, I think it's time, Bill, that you come upstairs.
So you say, you wonder what Josh McDaniels, I don't know if you guys know what he's getting paid right now. Is he getting paid $3 million a year and someone comes along and offers him $8 million a year? How does he say no to something like that?
Look, Gruden got $10 million a year until he got fired. So I think the going rate's probably around 7. So unless they want to pay an offensive coordinator $7 million, there's going to be a decision made. They're not going to just let McDaniels walk.
They might be paying that already. You did walk away from that Colts job.
Yeah, right. Russ, is the fix in?
He had that job.
I don't know. I mean, but this is like a Jimmy G problem. How long do you hold on if you're McDaniels, right? Do you say, all right, well, if Belichick wins, 10 games a year for the next 3 years, he passes Shula, and then I get the job in 3 years. Is McDaniels going to really hang on for another 3 years?
How old is McDaniels right now?
He's young. It's not his age, but
Okay, but could you say?
But his family situation, his kids are in school now. Yeah.
How many years? At 10 wins a year, how many years does it take Belichick to catch Shula right now?
I think 3. I think he catches Shula in like year 3 or something like that.
All right. So he says, hey, 3 years, keep learning. In 3 years, the job's yours. You like the organization, you like living in the area. 3 years, the job is yours.
And here's another $1.5 million a year. I mean, that's cash out of Kraft's pocket. That isn't salary cap money, right, Joe? Like, that's cold, hard, going to pay one of our top managers cash.
Well, I think that was what happened when Robert Kraft went and grabbed him and pulled him back from Indianapolis. That was a private meeting between those two. Belichick wasn't involved. So I think now he's not coming out of the coaching money. He's like being paid like a vice president
Yeah.
of the farmers
Yeah,
that get paid
yeah.
with
Yeah.
appropriate bonuses and whatnot.
Okay, we have to talk about the defense. I mean, we've talked about Judon every week. I mean, that's just a given. He's feeling like one of the legends already of Patriots defense. Let's give him a red jacket for sure. I just love this guy. What a signing. But you got to give credit to the defensive line. They are definitely improving. The fat guys are doing well, Joe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but we have to get into it. They've been winning, and being way ahead lately. So we haven't seen the run defense as much. So it looks like they've gotten better. But I want to know if they have gotten better when when they're not playing from ahead and the other team is running the ball the same as they are.
Addition by subtraction, the absence of one long, blonde, flowing-haired individual. Could that perhaps have something?
He's back.
Winovich, oh my God. Yeah, he was in the sidelines last week in
Yeah,
civilian
he's back.
I think a big thing is, Bentley looks better to me. He looks faster.
Oh, agree.
I think Hightower is playing himself into shape. He's starting to make a few more plays. He still gets blown up every once in a while. Van Noy seems to be, again, just like the offense, these guys seem to keep getting better. The big exposure on defense to me, though, is you get one injury in that defensive backfield, and that starts to look really bad at that point.
And Joe Juan Williams is coming in, and you're in trouble then.
But I think you could probably say that, Russ, about any team in the NFL.
Probably, but we've already lost Jonathan Jones. We never got Gilmore.
Yeah.
And we already lost Jonathan Jones. So we're in some ways, you lose another guy and that makes you 3 down going into the season.
And again, I say it every
week. Goes down. Who's number 1? Jalen Mills?
They lucked out so much. Cutting Miles Bryant was going to be a mistake that would haunt them for years. And I told you that. Not only, I think Joe, he is Malcolm Butler. The way he even tackles.
He's kind of the opposite of Malcolm Butler. He's great in zone, can't play man-to-man.
Hey, Scotty.
Malcolm likes the man-to-man.
Scotty, is Miles Bryant and Garrett Whitlock ever been seen in the same place? At the same
I know, right? I know, right? There are certain these guys, right? All of a sudden that you just can't believe it, right? Before we finish with the Patriots, what free agent in the defensive line? We seem to have signed a bunch of them. Which one do you think has stood out?
Gotcha's like the only one that plays regularly on the defensive line of the free agents.
I think the addition is Barmore. I mean, Barmore seems to be the guy that has changed the fortunes of that defensive line more than anybody, right?
But he only plays when they're ahead, because he plays in passing situations.
Well, although Joe, they've only been ahead for the last 4 games, so it's hard to tell. Like, would he play?
Well, that's what Barmore has made his big splash. We're all we watch. I look for 90 on every play. I look for 90.
The NFL has proven they don't know how to defend the Aaron Donalds, those type of linemen, those guys. The Barmores and stuff. They just, for some reason, it's not a good match for the blocking schemes or something.
This was the same guy they tried. Remember the guy they drafted in the first round out of Miami? And he wouldn't stick with the Patriots training stuff. He went on.
Oh, yeah.
I forget his name. He became a really good lineman in the NFL.
Oh, I think I do remember. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
But that was the exact same thing that Barmore does. A little, and Aaron Donald, a little small for a defensive tackle, but very disruptive, great pass rushes,
So I guess you're right. You're right, Russ, because it seemed like in the offseason they signed like 20 defensive linemen. They had the Anderson, the Gotcha. I thought there were a few more. I guess they've been weeded out, right? But also Lawrence Guy was re-signed too. All right, we got to go to predictions. Yeah, we got predictions. It's tomorrow night, Thursday night, against the Falcons. It feels like, oh no, we have the Titans in 10 days. Is this a trap game?
Yeah, I think it's a trap game, but not a trap game you're going to lose, but it's not, Thursday nights are so wonky. I think it's like 23-12 or something, some weird score for a weirdly played game.
Yeah.
And they're missing all their good offensive players, except for that kid that they just drafted there real high. That Pitts kid.
Yeah.
Tight end. He's the only one playing.
Yep.
Oh,
we have to talk about Scotty's prediction last week. We have to give Scotty some props here, right?
Oh my God, right? Am I at another level? And you guys criticize me every week, and yet I take it and I come back and I do the show.
Scott, you are definitely at another level. Definitely.
I predicted 35-7, and it was 45-7. It really didn't even matter. It was basically
it was like 34-7.
Yeah, I mean, right. That's another level. Another level. I don't even know.
Another level, all right.
Let's see you do it back to back. That shows you on another level.
All right.
It's almost at the level of my interception prediction 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, right. Timmy, give me something. You're in Vegas, so you need to put a bet down on it.
Well, as my father said, gambling brings families closer together. They get to live in a smaller house. So I will go 32-10. I think the Patriots have a lot of long, sustained drives, and I think the defense is gelling like you've never seen. 32-10 Patriots.
Rusty, you have a 23-12, is that right?
23-12, yeah.
All right, Joe.
Yeah, but Russ is on the right track. It's usually a sloppily played game. They haven't had time to prepare. But I think Atlanta is so handicapped offensively. The Patriots are going to have good field position all game long. And just by sheer accident, they'll score 31-14.
I have to agree with Russ. These Thursday night games are infamous for being poorly played. The guys are tired, lack of effort. The coaches are tired too. They really haven't been able to game plan the way they like. I like 19-18. I think
like that, yeah.
And a close game. We're gonna be it's gonna aggravate the shit out of us the whole game. Like, what are we doing? We should win the game by a lot. It's gonna be ugly. But
it will come out on the under out there.
What is the point spread?
Oh, Joe, do you know the point spread on this one?
I would imagine the Patriots are slight favorite.
I would imagine it'd be like Patriots 5 or 6.
Yeah.
How about the over-under?
Don't know.
Oh, probably
it'll be about 45.
Yeah, 45. Well, you're in Vegas,
23-21. That sounds about right then, right?
It's such an important game, though. You take care of business tomorrow night. That means you can go 3-3 down the stretch and still make the playoffs comfortably, right?
Huge
you can't
game
lose tomorrow night.
They have to win.
I have a $5 bet, 500 on Patriots winning 10 games or more.
Oh, you're going to be a mess. If they're losing late in the fourth quarter tomorrow night, you are going to be a disaster.
Oh, I know. Because the over-under was 9.5 on that as the season went on.
I like
boys.
that over.
All right, boys. We have these feelings. We're not truly in touch with our feelings with the Red Sox and the loss of Erod. You go back and forth in this, but I would say fellas, you can't lose a quality starting pitcher that knows how to pitch in Boston. He actually signed a pretty user-friendly deal. I'm shocked that the Red Sox didn't match that.
See, I have no problem with him leaving. I think he's been an up and down head case for years. I mean, he pitched a couple good games in the playoffs this year, which is very important. But I'm looking for someone more consistent if I'm going to throw that kind of money at him. I don't know if anyone's out there that can do it, but I'm not really that upset that he's gone.
Wouldn't you have liked to have seen that? LA only gave Syndergaard a 1-year deal, just a little over the qualifying offer. I wouldn't have minded seeing the Red Sox try something like that.
Well, they didn't.
Yeah,
didn't want to do that.
I think you got to look at it in the totality, and if I can see if they're expecting Houck or Whitlock to be into the rotation, then you're looking for a guy who's a third or fourth starter, and you have to look at what they do with that money instead of signing Erod. Now, if they don't do anything with that freaking money, I'm going to hurl myself off the top of Fenway Park because that's just ridiculous. But as I said to you, Scotty, he's not John Lester. Like,
no,
he's
not.
up and down.
No.
He's a head case. He's not a guy. He's not, to Timmy's point, he's not a bankable third starter on a division winning team.
Let's hold the jury out until we see
Yeah.
how Hines spends this money. Like
That's
if
right.
Russ says he doesn't utilize it, I think Hines has a plan. I think he's looking down the road. He's saying, I can use that money in a wiser manner than this guy who we're really never sure what we're getting.
2 years ago, Erod was the number one starter starting the season. This year, he was the second starter. So he didn't live up to that expectation. Would you disagree with that? I mean, he was going into the season.
Yeah.
The perception was that he was
Did
that.
he pitch opening day?
No, Evaldi did. But look, he was at a high level. I agree with you. He was just a 5-inning guy. But we should never have to worry about the Boston Red Sox and spending money. Let's vow to never have that conversation again. I don't care how much money they spend. This is the Boston Red Sox. He bought this team for $700 million, and it's worth billions and billions of dollars. So he needs to buy all the good players up that he can. And yes, moving forward, if he gets a Robbie Ray, we'll be very happy.
Yep.
If he can afford to buy the Pittsburgh Penguins now, I think he can throw a few shekels our way too.
Yeah, absolutely. So much information coming from Chaim Bloom indirectly. All of a sudden, he's talking about Javi Baez. I don't know. This guy he seems like a personality. He seems like a guy who might give Cora fits. Is he a player that fits well in this current makeup of this team?
You give me a second baseman who can mash, I'm fine. Like, Cora can manage personalities. That's not a problem with Cora.
Easy to manage that, 30-plus home runs too,
Right.
Yeah.
Every year.
It feels like they're sniffing that, right, boys? Simeon, Baez, they're talking about guys penciling them in at second base at 30-plus home runs. We, in our lifetime, do not even know what that looks like at second base.
I mean, so think about it this way. If they take if they sign a Simeon or a Baez, and as their pitcher sign Steven Matz at 2 years and $20 million or total, or 24, are we happier than Erod and Carlos Arroyo at second? Yeah.
Right.
Or
Schwarber, or Erod and Schwarber, which is kind of bringing back the band.
Yeah.
Have we got to the point yet after this 1 year performance or whatever, 2 years behind Bloom, where we're at? Are we saying in Bloom we trust yet?
Scotty is.
I am saying that, but I'm very worried, and Russ brings it up all the time. This whole Henry influence on he doesn't prioritize the Red Sox like he used to. Did he bring Chaim Bloom in to be the Red Sox to be Tampa North? And is it always going to be about the budget here? This is a big year to decide what the Red Sox are going to be moving forward.
Well, Scotty, I'd like to say this. Don't you think, even if I don't care how much money the franchise is worth and all this, if you were the owner of the Red Sox and you were looking at how many guys you were paying millions and millions of dollars not to play for the Red Sox anymore, would you not want to change that plan in some way?
No, it's a line item to him. No, it doesn't matter. It's the bottom line. It's, you have to dive into it. And of course, he knows he's been there long enough. He knows there are times that the David Prices don't work out, but then the Manny Ramirez do.
It was a long list of not worked out, though. A long list.
Look,
Pablo Sandoval.
Look, I think that Justin Verlander could end up on the Red Sox. This almost feels like that.
I love that.
As long as his wife moves to Boston with him, I'm good with that.
This whole short, $35 million for 2 years may interest them greatly, with the idea that they have some nice prospects coming up and they'd like to see what happens to them a year or two down the line.
Has he lost much?
Well, I mean, of course, the guy is what, Russ, what is he, 39
years
40?
old. He's almost 40 years old, but like, I'm with you. Go sign Justin Verlander for $25 million for a year, or give him freaking $30 million. I don't care. And see what you got, roll the dice, but don't be beholden for another $50 million on the back end of that if he doesn't pan out.
Yeah.
Right.
Do they have any decent pitches coming up in the system? I don't think so.
No, they do.
They do.
Bello, T-Bald. No, they have Bello.
Is this kid Groom still in the picture?
He's still in the picture. He's got a ways to go, but they've got
prospect according to baseball.
No, they've got Bello. They've got the kid Winkowski that got and Mata, right?
Yeah.
And Steebold.
So, and Seabold.
Seabold. And then what the kid from the Navy who they really like a lot. And that he may be released from his duty. So they have a lot of guys. Look, we saw that about 6 or 7 years ago with the Matt Barnes and all those guys. We thought we were going to have that kind of young people moving up, and none of them developed. This is the next group, and we'll see. But like you said, Evaldi's contract comes up, Verlander's contract comes up. They can see if some of these young guys, and of course we have. Don't forget Houck and Whitlock, and where they're going to fit moving forward.
How about
One thing that people aren't thinking about is Tampa Bay has always been able to develop their minor league pitching prospects. They bring them up just like an assembly line, and they're all good when they hit the majors. Maybe Heim brought one or two of those scouts or developmental guys along with him.
So we have Pavaldi penciled in as a starter then, right?
Absolutely. Evaldi is your number.
You have Evaldi.
What's it? Pavetta.
Pavetta.
Pavetta, yeah. Right now,
Timmy has problems. Hey, by the way, Timmy has problems with those Italian names. He gets the Irish names down pat, but you put a vowel at the end of a name.
Half of my gang growing up with Paisan, so
you put a vowel at the end of the name. Timmy gets all tongue twisted.
My whole gang was either Grimaldi's, Bastinelli's, or O'Leary's and Sully's. So we used to eat at the Italian. We used to eat at the Italian houses, of course. So,
I'm sure you did. Yeah,
yes.
That's the place to eat.
Yes,
we approve of your Italian resume.
Anything beats boiled potatoes and carrots. You know what I mean?
That's for sure. Right now, if the season were to begin, it would be Evaldi, it would be Sale, it would be Pavetta. I think it would be Houck and
Whitlock.
To be named Whitlock. I mean, if you had to have the season right now, it'd be those 5 guys, right?
Yeah. He'll sign a starter.
Let's throw a big name.
Starter.
Yeah, they're gonna sign a big name. They're gonna sign a guy who makes a splash. I'm guaranteeing that.
And there's no question in my mind. We knew somehow that Al Horford would find his way back to Boston. Timmy's boy Joe Kelly's coming back. There's no question. Right? Is that just
Bazooka Joe?
Is that right? Is that a fait accompli? Right, Russell? We know that's happening. Of course he's coming back. Like Jamie Collins comes back.
Is he still throwing 102?
I think he is. He had an incredible season. I don't know why the Dodgers are getting rid of him. I think he wears on organizations kind of quickly his personality. He's out there, but he fits in Boston. He really does. He's kind of that.
The fan favorite.
Kind of like who was our crazy closer there for a while? He used to come out to the Dropkick Murphy song every time.
Papelbon?
Yeah, Papelbon, yeah.
So,
he's kind of like a Papelbon type of guy, right?
Breaking news is Verlander is signing with the Astros, staying in Houston. So Verlander's off.
Oh, is that unbelievable? We're just talking about it. Lovely and talented Adrian. Hold on, we have a lovely talented Adrian. Can you they can't see you.
Adrian.
You gotta see your hand. All right, so go to the Celtics if you guys feel like talking about him. it's Jason Tatum's team. There's no question. Would you agree? And as Jason Tatum goes, and he's disinterested at best.
Well, here's the thing, though. I do have I have some pushback on that. He has not shot the ball well at all, but there have been games where he's been horrible shooting that he's actually helped the team win. You know, there's 7-7.
That's the guy he has to become.
Yeah, there's 7-7, and he is stunk. He is in the bottom 20% of shooters in the NBA right now, and they're still 7-7. I wouldn't have bet on that.
That's laziness too, Russ. That's laziness. That's a guy settling for shots.
Well, maybe, but like he's also just missing shots that he used to hit. Period. He's in a shooting slump.
Could that in some way be a good thing for the Celtics, though?
It could be if he snaps out of it. Yeah.
To ingratiate himself into a game like Larry Bird used to do and make the other guys around him better and learn how to do that.
He took
Everyone yells at him for not being a team player. And he isn't a team player. He's pretty poor at that. But the team doesn't play well with him either. When, they either just hand it to him and then just wander off, they give him the ball in a bad situation where he has to take that one dribble, turnaround jumper. Sometimes Marcus Smart especially sticks him out in the woodshed a lot, They don't put him in a good position.
But a leader, when I'm not even going to say Larry Bird, when a shooter's not shooting well from the outside, and especially a guy who is as physically imposing as Jason Tatum, he's bringing it to the hoop, getting himself out. He's doing whatever he needs to do to score points. And Jason Tatum's not willing to take the punishment right.
I want to give him credit where credit's due. He did that in the second half the other night against Cleveland. He couldn't hit the side of a barn, and he shot 7 free throws in the second half. He kept taking the ball to the hole. So if we get more of that, by the way, I don't love the guy. I don't think he's a leader, period. I don't know if he's ever going to be a leader. But if his game, if he can take a bad shooting night and turn it into a productive evening of basketball and helps his team win, I'm fine with that.
What is he, 24 years old now?
20, not even. He's 23. Yeah.
I mean, this kid's got a long way to go.
Look,
I hope so, but he's got to lead. He's got to learn how to actually be a leader, and he doesn't do that.
They brought in 2 guys to try to change Jason Tatum: Udoka, the coach, and Al Horford, the coach player. So, a positive outlook would say that he's there. They may be finally wearing on him. That we weren't going to see that early on. It was going to take 30, 40 games because it may be Al Horford that has the greatest influence on Tatum than Udoka does. I will give that to you. They're still in the playoff race. They still have a chance to go where they want to go. Is this a team? I know it's early. Are they buyers or sellers? Because it's very important because the way we look at Schroeder and stuff like that. Right now, are they buyers or sellers?
Sellers. I think Russ hit the nail on the head. The Schroeders, the Smarts, all those contracts are set up to be perfect trade bait come
If they're treading water at the deadline, they're 500 at the deadline, you got to sell. You have to. You're not,
Grant Williams, all those guys, he redid all those contracts to make them very attractive at the trade deadline.
But the guys that the people that would be in the market, are they the people that you want to be bartering with right now?
Well,
they would just.
What are you going to get for a Schroeder? Anyone who's looking to trade for Schroeder is not going to have a lottery pick, correct?
Well, no, it's a great point, Timmy. By the way, I think Schroeder, as good as he's been, is still only going to get you a first rounder in the 20s or something anyway. Yeah. So, you're looking at a 23, 24 pick, but by the way, that's good. That's better than a stick in the eye.
Yeah. I really enjoyed watching Schroeder play.
Yeah.
I think he gets another 30 plus tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, boys. We love to look in our crystal ball and go back in time. If Schroeder's on this team 2 years ago during the COVID and we're playing Miami, and then Lakers.
Yep.
I think they win the title with him.
Yeah, you win that. You win
You're
that.
right.
You win that series. You do. I don't know if you beat LA, but you're doing that series.
I think you beat LA too. LA really wasn't a great team. They were just
No.
the NBA fixed that season so LeBron could win with Anthony Davis. It was a joke. I don't know. They were literally playing in a studio. I mean, it was a complete Hollywood production, letting them win. But he's exactly what they've needed over the years. A guy who can come in, play the point, but can give you offense.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be valuable for a lot of teams.
He would be. I don't think the Celtics pretty much can't re-sign him. They don't have bird rights on him.
No.
And they're limited on terms of how much they can offer. So I think it's almost impossible for them to retain him beyond this year.
They're going to pet on him. They're absolutely going to. He just fell into their lap. And
He's going to be a wealthy man.
He fell into the.
He's going to be a wealthy man.
Al Horford's been their best player all year. I think.
he's
Totally agree.
fantastic.
He's been fantastic.
So, we've spoken very highly of Enes Kanter, not as much about his playing, but we know his political activism, and he seems to be very involved. But I don't know what the hell he was thinking about a few days ago with his crazy tweet about complaining about playing time, and if they didn't play him, he was going to expose everybody on the team for some crazy bullshit. Is this just a guy who was shit-faced one night and was in the bathroom and decided to tweet?
And the coach took him aside, and everything was all better the next day. And it blew over real quick. He's just become, like a media darling with his sneakers and all that stuff. He hasn't played much, although he did play well in the second Milwaukee game.
He's a guy who's basically on the 17th hole of his career, who's a little bit goofy, and he's going to do and say a bunch of stupid stuff. But he's not a bad guy. He's just going to say goofy stuff.
But it just reminds you.
The other night.
Yeah.
It just reminds you the crap these coaches have to put up with. You have to worry about the freaking stars every second of your day, right? They're like your children. And then you got to worry about all the cousins, the friends and stuff. I mean, when you got the Enes Kanter, the last guy on the bench, giving you trouble with tweets and stuff, these NBA coaches deserve as much money as they possibly could get.
Yeah, but the third stringers are making more money than the coaches.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
That's one of the problems.
And just to have Grant Williams on a bench and have to play him, oh my God! You have to think, what am I doing?
He's starting tonight because Rob's out. He's going to take on John Collins.
Oh, he saved their ass.
On John Collins.
He saved their ass to the first half the other night. They'd have been down by 25 points if he hadn't drained 3 or 4 3-pointers.
Yeah, he had a dozen points for that first.
He's the Brandon. I got to get Russ going. He's the Brandon Bolden of the Celtics.
Grant Williams wishes he was.
They kind of similar body types.
Grant Williams wishes he was Brandon Bolden.
Guys who play well and still get criticized by this crowd. There are guys that no matter how good they play are still going to be criticized by you boo.
Bolden.
I hear you speaking when you're texting. I hear you speaking when the three of us rip into Brandon Bolden like he just scored a touchdown.
Brandon Bolden breaks off a 17-yard run, and 3 guys start complaining about Brandon Bolden. I'm like, what? Am I watching a different game?
Russ, he's growing on me like a fungus. I'm loving Brandon Bolden these days.
Oh my God, it is so funny and it's so true. I never noticed it. We just rip on him all the time. I don't know what it is either.
Well, for how many years did we see Brandon Bolden 1.5 yards in a cloud of dust? I mean,
there's a reason why he's the 3rd or 4th string running.
Yes, right.
But he's still a productive player. You have to give him that. He's always been productive. If there's 2 yards in the play, he gets the 2. He's not going to break it off at 10. He'll get you the 2, though. It's always guaranteed.
Hey, did you guys end up watching the KG documentary?
I'm about a third of the way through it. It's amazing.
Yeah, really
I
good.
watched the whole thing. It was
You know,
good.
my favorite part was when Doc Rivers called his old coach and said, "Hey, is this an act or what's going on here with this intensity in practice?" And the guy said, "It's no act. That's him full time, and leave it alone because that's going to be contagious to the rest of the team." And he was right.
Look, he's not the greatest player to ever play in this town, but he is the most unique player I've ever seen in Boston sports. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes, he's right there. He's right there.
He's one of a kind, that's for sure.
He really
Yeah.
is.
And the energy that used to be in that, and I had season tickets that whole time, and the energy that used to bring every freaking night. It was a pleasure to be in the Garden. It's different than the Bird era, but I have to be honest with you, on a day-to-day, game-to-game basis, it was more exciting than the Bird era.
It's that championship year. You know, I've been to all of the playoff runs for all of these. I was fortunate to have season tickets to just about everything. That was the most enjoyable road to a championship for any Boston sports team in the last 25 years that I saw, was that Celtics run to a championship that year.
Yeah, that was fun.
How about that story he told about Pat Riley, where he said Riley was bitching and moaning, didn't know why he was in the room, and he says at the end of it, he goes, 90 effing minutes by my mother effing self, and he's 18 years old in front of Pat Riley. 90 effing minutes by my mother effing self.
Right. I mean, really remarkable. This kid was very independent as a young person, deciding that he was good enough to play in the NBA. And we all hate Isaiah Thomas, and I can't tell you how much I hate Isaiah Thomas.
I was shocked.
Sure did, Joe, right?
I was shocked by the Isaiah Thomas part of that. I really was.
Yeah.
But I think we could all say that there was somebody in our life who said something to us, that something clicked in our life, whatever that moment was, and it changed the course of how we went about our life. And it was pretty clear. And you could, and that was why that documentary was very powerful. They really portrayed that very well. Isaiah said, "You can play in this league right now."
Yeah. Yeah.
And who is
a whole different paradigm shift.
But who is KG not to believe this guy that he idolized growing up, that, you know, this Hall of Famer? If Isaiah says it, it must be true. And he did exactly what Isaiah said. And I think it kind of worked out.
Yeah.
And it all worked out with him getting drafted by the Timberwolves and Kevin McHale being there to show him how to play as a big man. And I mean, things
it
just
did
worked out.
fall into a good situation. That's for sure, Tim.
I just want to mention that somebody in that production must have really hated McHale and Ainge, because they showed a still photo of them playing golf, and each of them looked like they were 600 pounds and lost all color in their face. I'm like, that's the picture they picked of those two together? How about maybe in their uniforms, stars for the Celtics? You pick that? But yes. Thank you, Kevin McHale, because that was such a lopsided deal. It was unbelievable. All right, we go to the Bruins. What kind of team do we have here? Are the Bruins and the Celtics literally in this same kind of pot this season, where they're just
No, I don't put the Bruins in the Celtics pot. I think the Bruins are a very good team. I think they're one of the top teams in the league, and I think they're going to show us something.
Wow. Boy, Rusty, Joe, you feel that what Timmy does?
I thought so before the season started, but they haven't shown me anything, really. I mean, the perfection line is the perfection line. And I'm still a Swayman man. I prefer to see him instead of Linus. But the other lines are doing nothing. That Hall line is doing zero.
Well, Coyle looked good. They did pretty good the last game I went to.
The Montreal game?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did score 5 in the Montreal game.
If Coyle can keep
But
putting
against Edmonton the night before, they sucked.
Russ, could Sweeney be on a hot seat because all his guys he signed have been terrible?
Oh, I mean, look, they're only they're 10, 11 games in, 12 games, you know, Again, there's been a lot of change on that team. They got to get some, they got to get some guys more and more reps on the ice. I don't know. Give them like 30 games. They'll find their way into what they really are.
We still have the best line in hockey. So
yeah, the big deal is Coyle does seem to be better. They got to get Hall off the schneid, but somebody else has to pop on that team other than those guys.
Yeah.
Craig Smith, who played really well last season,
Terrible.
It was a great loss when he was out during the playoffs. Has been horrific.
Invisible. Yeah. Don't even notice.
Polino's a big pickup in the offseason. He's been hurt and hasn't played. So
yeah. And that one defenseman they picked up has been apparently like the worst defenseman statistically. I don't know, whatever his name is. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. All right, well, that's our show for tonight, boys. Want to thank, of course, behind the scenes, Corbin. Want to thank the fellas. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com and tune in again next Tuesday night at 5 o'clock for a special edition of the Thanksgiving Day Grandstanders Live show. My name is Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.